Chapter 1 of Grace Harlowe's Junior Year at High School. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Grace Harlowe's Junior Year at High School by Jessie Graham Flower. Chapter 1 A New Arrival. Next to home, there is really nothing quite so satisfying as our dear old high school, exclaimed Grace Harlowe, as she entered the locker room and beamed on her three friends who stood nearby. It does seem good to be back, even though we have had such a perfectly glorious summer, said Jessica Bright. We are a notch higher, too. We're actually juniors. This locker room is now our property, although I don't like it as well as the one we had last year. We'll get accustomed to it, and it will seem like home inside of 2 weeks, said Anne Pierson philosophically. Everything is bound to change in this world, you know. We must put ourselves in harmony with the things among which our lot is cast. Well, Marcus Aurelius will try to accept your teaching, laughed Grace, who immediately recognized the quotation as coming from a tiny Marcus Aurelius yearbook that Anne kept in her desk and frequently perused. I wonder what school will bring us this year, mused Nora O'Malley as she retied her bow for the 5th time before the mirror and critically surveyed the final effect. We had a stormy enough time last year, goodness knows. Really, girls, it's hard to believe that Miriam Nesbit and Julia Crosby were at one time the banes of our existence. They come next to you 3 girls with me now. I think that we all feel the same about them, replied Grace. Miriam is a perfect dear now, and is just as enthusiastic over class matters as we are. It looks as though everything were going to be plain sailing this year, said Jessica. There isn't a disturbing element in the class that I know of. Still, one can never tell. Oh, here come Ava Allen and Marian Barber, called Grace delightedly, and rushed over to the newcomers with outstretched hands. By this time girls began to arrive rapidly, and soon the locker room hummed with the sound of fresh young voices. Coats of tan were compared and newly acquired freckles deplored, as the girls stood about in groups, talking of the delights of summer vacation just ended. To the readers of Grace Harlowe's Plebe Year at High School and Grace Harlowe's Sophomore Year at High School, the girl chums have become familiar figures. It will be remembered how Grace Harlowe and her friends, Nora O'Malley and Jessica Bright, during their freshman year, became the firm friends of Anne Pierson, the brilliant young girl who won the freshman prize offered each year to the freshmen by Mrs. Gray. The reader will recall the repeated efforts of Miriam Nesbit, aided by Miss Leese, the algebra teacher, to disgrace Anne in the eyes of the faculty, and the way each attempt was frustrated by Grace Harlowe and her friends. Mrs. Gray's house party, the winter picnic in Upton Wood, and Anne Pierson's struggles to escape her unworthy father all contributed toward making the story stand out in the reader's mind. In Grace Harlowe's sophomore year, the girl chums were found leading their class in athletics. Here, Miriam Nesbit, still unsubdued, endeavored once more to humiliate Anne Pierson, and to oust Grace from her position as captain of the basketball team, being aided in her plan by Julia Crosby, captain of the junior team, against whom the sophomores had engaged to play a series of 3 games. Grace's brave rescue of Julia Crosby during a skating party and the latter's subsequent repentance restored good feeling between the 2 classes, and the book ended with the final conversion of Miriam after her long and stubbornly nursed enmity. David Nesbit's trial flight in his aeroplane, Grace's encounter with the escaped lunatic, who imagined himself to be Napoleon Bonaparte, were among the features which made the book absorbing from start to finish. The clang of the first bell broke in upon the chattering groups, and obedient to its summons, the girls moved slowly out of the locker room and down the corridor, talking in subdued tones as they strolled toward the study hall. Miss Thompson stood at her desk, serene and smiling, as the girls filed in. "How well Miss Thompson looks," whispered Grace to Anne as they neared their seats. "Let's go up and see her when this session is over. It's sure to be short this morning." It was customary on the opening of school for the members of the various classes to take their seats of the previous year. Then the sections were rearranged, the seniors taking the seats left by the graduates, and the other classes moving up accordingly. The first day of school amounted to really nothing further than being assigned to one's seat and getting used to the idea of school again. Miss Thompson usually addressed the girls on the duty of high school students, and the girls went forth full of new resolutions that last for at least a week. Grace looked curiously about her.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?